Hey everybody, welcome to our next tutorial. In this one we're going to be creating a copy of Geometry Wars, originally for the Xbox 360. There's all kinds of examples out here where we play as a little ship, and we're going to shoot some bad guys that come at us a whole bunch. They're going to chase us around, and we'll see how far we can get. This is originally a twin stick shooter, so it's meant to be played with a controller, but we will get there. We're going to start with keyboard controls and then move on from there. So let's head over to our Unity hub and let's create a new project. It's going to be a 2D core, just like everything else has been in this class. Let's give it a name. You can call it Geometry Wars, Neon Wars. I'm just going to call mine Geo Wars, just for the sake of speed. And I'm going to put it in my video game folder on my desktop. So as I create that, that's going to load up. In the meantime, I also have some assets for you. So from our course files, there at the bottom, there's the Neon Vector Shooter Assets. That's a Unity package. While this is loading up, go ahead and download that. All right, once that we are all loaded up, the first thing I want to do is make sure my resolution is set to a good number. So, like I said, Geometry Wars was first on the Xbox 360, which was the first Xbox to have high def capability. And so let's do this in high def. So that aspect ratio there on your game view, switch that over to that full HD, the 1920 by 1080. So you should have a nice 16 by 9 aspect ratio there. Let's start out by making our title. This is going to be slightly different from all the other tutorials before. We've just kind of dove in and started making our player and getting him to move. This one, let's set up with a full game in mind. And so I'm going to make a title screen. The sample scene that Unity gives us is great and all, but I want to start fresh. I'm going to come up to File, go to New Scene, and I'm going to use this basic 2D built-in. I can click on Create there. Doesn't look like much changed, but my scene is now untitled, so I need to go save this scene. I'm going to go File, Save, go into my Scenes folder, and then here I will call this Title. Now, if we're going to be switching between scenes, these have to be in the build settings in the project. So I'm going to go to File and Build Profiles. And here at the top of this list, I can go to my scene list. I can add my open scenes. That should add the title scene that we just created. If it doesn't want to pop up for you or it's not going the way you expect, you can always come down to your scenes folder. We should have that title there, and you can just drag these in. So we're not going to be using the sample scene, so I can select it here in that list and press my delete key and get rid of it. And then while I'm here, we are going to build this to the web. So let's go ahead and switch over to that platform. I'm going to click on Web, click on Switch Platform. And once this is all done, recompiling everything, then we can go ahead and close this window. All right, so that's all done. Let me close that. And now I can start building my title screen. Sorry, once this is done, then we can build our title screen. We're going to do that with a canvas. We've used canvases before, but I'm going to go into a little more depth on these guys and what's kind of happening and things we can do with them. So in my hierarchy, I'm just going to hit on the plus, go to UI, and then canvas. I'm going to call this my title canvas, just because it's important to name things. And if you notice, there are these two lines, this vertical line and this horizontal line that popped up. And so that's the canvas. But how big is it? I keep scrolling out and it's really, really big. If I double click on my name here, it'll zoom to show that object. And it's really, really big. My camera is down there. You can start to see it just there. So let's take a look at the canvas. In the canvas component here, the render mode is set to screen space overlay. And so what that does is it takes this big old thing, it actually makes a one-to-one recreation of your resolution. And so that's 1 pixel to 1 Unity unit. So this canvas is 1,920 units wide and 1,080 units tall. The default unit in Unity is meters, so this is almost a 2-kilometer wide by just over a kilometer tall canvas here. Unity then takes whatever's in this canvas and just overlays it on the game camera, the main camera that we see down here. To me, that is a little confusing for more beginner people, because they have to come to this giant thing out here when their game is, you're working on your game all down here, but oh, if I want to change my UI, I have to come way back out here, and then I have to move stuff here, but then if I want it to look right, I have to look down here. It's just a pain. So let's fix that. Instead of screen space overlay, we can change that to screen space camera. And when we do that, it's asking us, hey, what is your render camera? What do we want to tackle this onto? And the only camera we have is our main camera. And so I can click and drag that over to that box. There's some other options here, but they're not super important just yet. Later we'll get into like the canvas scaler and like the plane distance and things like that. But now it's, oh, where'd my canvas go? Oh, well, it's kind of attached to my camera here now. So if I double click on my main camera, if I double click on my title canvas, they're the same thing. And so now when I create stuff here, it's going to show up exactly where I would expect it to in my camera. So let's start with that. The one I really like, we're going to borrow from Anthony Morasis here. I really like that the way he's done his title. It's real simple. Later we can come back and add some of these particle effects in the background. It's really simple, and we're going to use it. So I need a kind of a title thing here. It's a see-through image, and it's got little lines on the top and the bottom, and then on the bottom we have the same thing, just with options to play the game, or leaderboards or controls, things like that. So with that, on my title canvas, I'm going to right-click on my canvas here. If you right-click on an object and create another game object, it automatically makes it as a child of that object. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to come down to UI, and I'm going to create an image. I don't actually have an image to go in there. I just want the color part of it. I could throw a sprite in, but we're not going to. So let's get this set up first. Let's see. First, let's name this. So this will be my title image. And then the next thing we're going to use is the anchor pivot button right here, anchor presets button right here. There's all kinds of super powerful stuff we can use with this. Again, the main thing, I end up holding Shift and Alt to do a lot of this stuff. So we set our pivot, set our position, and then there's also these cool stretch things here. I want to stretch this to fit the width of my screen. So if I hold Alt and click on that one right there, the middle stretch, it'll stretch all the way to the side of my screen. Alternatively, I could just go type in the width, 1920, because we know that number because it's full HD. But either way is good. So you can stretch this and it'll fit there as well. Then I can go and I can play with my height some, get that a little taller, and now I can use my move tool, kind of move it up a little bit. If I go change my color, you can make this kind of whatever color you want. I'm going to be a little different, and I'm going to change to kind of a cyan color here. There are different ways to do your colors. There's RGB from 0 to 255. You can do RGB from 0 to 1, or this hue, saturation, and value as well. So I'm going to stick with the RGB 255. So I can play with those sliders as well, but this fourth slider is really what's important. It's A for alpha, which is also our transparency. And so if I go to 0, it's all the way see-through. If I bring it up all the way to the right, is 100% opaque. So let's bring that down to maybe half or so. And now I want to add those two lines that were on the top and the bottom. I'm going to do that by right-clicking on my title image. I'm going to make a new image. So UI image. Gonna pop up in the center there. Let's call this my top line. And here's what's really cool. So I can again stretch it to the center if I hold Alt. And then what I can do is if I hold Alt and Shift and click on this top center button, well, one, it snapped it to the top of my title image there, but the stretch went away. So actually I need to Alt Shift and click on this stretch right there so it'll go all the way over. And again, now I can play with that height, bring it down to, I don't know, somewhere 15, 20. So I can get that line and change the color again. Something like that. And then once we have that first one, we can just take it and duplicate it. And instead of top line, this will be bottom line. And I can do just basically the opposite on my anchor presets. Come down to the bottom stretch, Shift Alt click, and now it's stretched on the bottom. Let's go ahead and also, as a child of that title image, let's make our actual title, which is going to be a Text Mesh Pro. This is the first time I'm doing this in this project, so let's import these essentials. I'm going to do the examples and extras as well once this finishes up. And that'll give me a couple of fonts to play with. And now I can close that. So, the same thing, this is just where put in whatever name for your game. Sure, something like that. Let's try to make it a little decorative. What does that look like? Again, I can play with my width and my height on this guy, and if I scroll down, I get my centering options. The width can be way bigger. Even bigger than that. Because I just want to make this font size really big. And let's play with the actual font. We can always come back and kind of finish this up later. But yeah, there's that top part. One of the rules for like programming and game design and life is don't do more work than you have to. So we've already done all this work setting up this background with the lines and stuff on the top and bottom. And so I'm just going to take that and I'm going to copy and paste it, or I'm going to duplicate it. So let's not make this harder than it has to be. So with that, I mean, they are the same thing. So let me just bring that down. Only on this one, this will be my buttons image. And instead of a title, I can delete that text. As a child of my button image now, I can go and make a button. This will be my play game button. And I want to make these kind of wide and pretty decently tall. Move that up some. And then the text is a child under that button. That's just another Text Mesh Pro. Put it in play game like that. Again, we can mess around with all this stuff. We can do this all day. But let's just do something like that. And the size. I'm going to click on this auto size. And then with the button, there are some options here where we can change the normal color, which is just what it looks like normally. There's a highlighted color, pressed color, select color, disabled color. You can change all these, play around again as much as you want. I'm actually going to take this sprite out of here just so it's a solid color. Because I am going to tell my normal color to actually be all the way transparent. I don't want to see that. But then when I highlight, when I mouse over, now I can come and make this maybe some kind of a purple fuchsia somewhere in there, something to complement what I have in my background. When I click it, let's make it go red. And then then what's going to happen is after I click it, it'll be selected. And so it'll be this color after I click on it. Theoretically, when we click on these, we won't see this too long. But let's just, let's take it back over here. And you can make these slightly transparent as well if you so wish. But I'm sure there's a way to see these before clicking play, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to go into my play mode. And then in my game view down here, when I mouse over, you can see it changes color. When I click on it, it changes to that color. And now it's that pink because it's selected. If I click off of it, then it's not selected anymore. And we're good to go. Okay, so that is my title screen for right now. Later we can come back and put in like credits or have an image to show what the controls are for this game. But let's go ahead and save this again. And that's it. In the next video we will, like normal, make a new scene, dive in, start making our player move around. Alright, so I'll see you then.